Drug Themes in Science Fiction, a narrative review of the literature from 1900 to 1973. Study analysis conducted by National Institute on Drug Abuse. Preface. In the mid-1960s and peaking around 1970, mind-altering drugs spread rapidly through American middle-class life. Marijuana became commonplace. LSD and even heroin were far more visible. By the early 1970s, heroin seemed once again concentrated in low-income communities and LSD less fashionable, but marijuana had become routine for millions, and other potent mind-altering substances remained in heavy use. Those same turbulent years saw science fiction move from a niche amusement to a mass readership. Changes in daily life, shifts in dress and style, the assassinations of political leaders, the shock of an unpopular war, inflation and other dislocations fed a hunger for the strange and the speculative. Spaceflight caught the eye, yes, but the deeper pull was this. In unsettled times, people reach for experiences that depart from the ordinary. Drugs promised escape and transformation. Science fiction offered both, plus satire and perspective on a world changing at high speed. The genre's audience skews young and bright, often between 15 and 25, which substantially overlaps with the population that experimented with drugs. For this project, I gathered English-language science fiction stories and novels written since 1900 that focus on mind-altering drugs. I set aside the large body of tales about bodily effects, immortality serums and the like, in favor of works that engage the mind. While a few examples come from the earliest pulp magazine era of the 1920s and 1930s, most appear after 1965, mirroring the real-world rise of drug use. Science fiction rarely predicts social change so much as refracts it. As drug use increased, drug themes in science fiction grew with it. Science fiction, then, is as much a guide to where we are as to where we might be headed. Its popularity among the young and its intensity of fandom make it a sensitive instrument for detecting the patterns society is taking, especially around drugs. Overview of drug themes in science fiction. Defining science fiction isn't simple. Here is a workable frame. Science fiction is a branch of fantasy that speculates about technology's impact on society, and does so with enough rationale that the implausible feels temporarily plausible. Because it's a systematic kind of fantasy, science fiction is perfectly suited to exploring drug-related phenomena. A vial of green pills is the modern magic wand, chemical, testable, and narratively potent. Writers from the 19th century onward used drugs to power their speculations. Robert Louis Stevenson's transformative draft, H.G. Wells's accelerators and invisibility tonics, and beyond. In the 20th century, drugs that alter, amplify, or injure the mind became one of science fiction's most versatile tools. Silverberg groups those drugs by what they do: euphorics, pleasure givers that relieve tension, alcohol-like in feel; mind expanders, psychedelics that open vistas, dissolve boundaries, or suggest cosmic unity; panaceas, tranquilizers that pacify or smooth anxiety; mind controllers, substances that compel, condition, or suppress will; totalitarian tools; intelligence enhancers, catalysts that sharpen reason or memory; sensation enhancers, amplifiers of touch, taste, and the senses; reality testers, keys to layers of reality hidden by everyday perception; mind injurers, chemical weapons aimed at consciousness; communication enablers, drugs that open channels, telepathy, empathy, shared mind space. Two broad attitudes recur. One is cautionary: extraordinary drugs hollow character, sap energy, and ease the rise of repressive states. The other is visionary: used wisely, drugs unlock higher capacities and new stages of human development. The first dominated early, the second rose with the social shifts of the late 1960s. Aldous Huxley illustrates the swing. In Brave New World, 1932, soma is a pacifier, anesthetic, obedient-making, and suspect. 3 decades later, after Huxley's own mescaline and LSD explorations, Island, 1962, presents moksha, a sacrament that reveals truth and beauty, and deepens spiritual life. Between those poles, drug as opiate versus drug as awakening, sprawl most of science fiction's drug stories. Mid-century works often warned of pleasure governments and medically managed happiness. James Gunn's The Joymakers and L.P. Hartley's Facial Justice, for instance. Even without overt tyranny, drugs could be depicted as self-indulgence with a bill due later, as in Manly Wade Wellman's Dream Dust from Mars, George O. Smith's Hellflower, or Frederick Pohl's What to Do Until the Analyst Comes. By contrast, post-1965 fiction increasingly treats psychedelics and cannabis with curiosity or even approval. Silverberg's A Time of Changes imagines a society disrupted, and in some ways redeemed, by a drug that makes minds directly shareable. In Alexei Panshin's How Can We Sink When We Can Fly, a time-traveling drug becomes part of education. Other stories make psychedelics tools for training astronauts, clarifying testimony in court, or healing spiritual estrangement. Intelligence boosters form another lively vein. Think Gordon Dixon's The Our Master, John Brunner's The Stone That Never Came Down, or Thomas Disch's Camp Concentration. Still, not all is utopian. Brian Aldiss's Barefoot in the Head and Norman Spinrad's Carcinoma Angels show just how disorienting, even destructive, the altered mind can be. What follows is a guided tour, an audiobook-friendly journey through Silverberg's annotated bibliography, organized in 3 eras. Each entry names the work and offers a concise sense of how its drug theme operates. Annotated tour of works. Primitive period, circa 1900 to 1935. Stories here are often simple in structure: a secret experiment, a dramatic effect, and a cautionary end. The Roger Bacon formula, Fletcher Pratt and Irvin Lester, 1929, a rediscovered medieval recipe, mandragordium, frees the mind to voyage, here to Venus, before the traveler retreats, wary of addiction. The Diabolical Drug, Claire Winger Harris, 1929. Slowing the brain's electrical activity to halt aging strands 2 lovers in suspended animation with troubling psychological side effects. Brave New World, Aldous Huxley, 1932. In a manufactured utopia, the drug soma keeps citizens content and compliant. The few who won't conform are exiled. The Literary Corkscrew, David H. Keller, 1934. A doctor bottles the hormones released by pain into a creativity drug and promptly pens a bestseller. He Never Slept, John Russell Fearn, 1934. A protein brew abolishes sleep and opens inner vistas until exhaustion becomes a death wish. The Controlled Drug, Benson Herbert, 1934. A xenon-based paradise turns out to be uninhibited impulse. The inventor destroys both drug and self. The Truth Gas, Edmund Hamilton, 1935. A universal honesty gas collapses diplomacy and tact. Only an antidote can restore society. The Elixir of Progress, Philip J. Bartell, 1935. A future quest for humanity's lost stimulant rediscovers coffee. Predictive period, circa 1935 to 1965. Ambitions grow, authors imagine social systems shaped by drugs and follow consequences to larger scales. The Plutonian Drug, Clark Ashton Smith, 1934. A powder from Pluto turns time into traversable space. The user glimpses his own imminent death. Emotion Solution, Arthur K. Barnes, 1936. A city's water, dosed to erase emotion, creates a society of lifeless logic and profound regret. Emotion Gas, George F. Gatter, 1936. A theater pumps in euphoria to goose laughs. An overdose sends patrons home in communal despair. The Glowworm Flower, Stanton A. Coblentz, 1936. Spores from space sprout intoxicating blossoms that addict the best minds. Earth moves to eradicate the plant and ban spaceflight. The Hormone Menace, Eando Binder, 1936. Endocrine extracts create super-strong puppets and photographic memories. A hero must smash the lab. Dream Dust from Mars, Manly Wade Wellman, 1938. Martian lichen spores give earthlings ecstatic trances. Addiction rises and the dust is outlawed. The Time Drug, Charles F. Hall, 1938. A cactus and kava compound sends a researcher backward to the universe's beginning, with dire results. Golden Nemesis, David A. Kyle, 1941. A brain-unlocking drug births a brief supergenius whose nervous system burns out. What to do until the analyst comes. Frederick Pohl, 1956. A harmless euphoric in chewing gum form replaces cigarettes and lulls society into cheerful indolence. I Remember Oblivion, Henry Sleezar, 1966. Chemotherapy erases a criminal's memories, then implants a new persona until old memories claw back. The Abyss, David H. Keller, 1948. New York City is dosed with a psychosis chemical. For a month, civilization collapses into gladiatorial barbarism, then wakes as if from a dream. Trojan Horse Laugh, John D. MacDonald, 1949. A drug synchronizes everyone's emotional cycles. The shared low becomes mass hysteria. The Elixir of Peace, Robert Moore Williams, 1949. A taming tranquilizer meant for lions pacifies a volatile film director. The Puppet Masters, Robert A. Heinlein, 1951. With alien parasites invading, a couple injects Tempest to stretch 24 hours into a subjectively month-long honeymoon. The Addicts, William Morrison, 1952. A euphoric called Marek makes one spouse so agreeable that honest communication dies, prompting secret dosing of the other. Hellflower, George O. Smith, 1953. A Ganymede-grown narcotic heightens sensation and ensnares its users, especially women. A future agent battles the trade. The Stolen Minute, Pierre Deveau and H. G. Vio, 1953. HSM, a metabolic accelerator, speeds life 100,000-fold, weaponized for politics. The Yellow Pill, Rog Phillips, 1958. A drug that toggles realities confronts a psychiatrist with the possibility that his world is the delusion. Facial Justice, L. P. Hartley, 1960. After a devastating war, enforced equality and a daily bromide keep citizens subdued. The Joymakers, James Gunn, 1961. A constitutional amendment mandates happiness enforced by mescaline, neo-heroin, and metabolic regulation. Ireland, Aldous Huxley, 1962. In contrast to Brave New World, moksha functions as a sacrament that deepens insight and community. A Clockwork Orange, Anthony Burgess, 1963. Hallucinogens color youth culture, state drugs and hypnosis condition a violent teen against violence. Come Where My Love Lies Dreaming, Doris Pitkin Buck, 1964. In overcrowded Washington, D.C., Protoceratops tabs let users mentally become dinosaurs, comic and revealing in equal measure. Greenplace, Tom Purdom, 1964. A political psychologist takes MST, a temporary intellect multiplier, and spots the subtle methods of suburban mind control. The Peacock King, Larry McCombs and Ted White, 1965. Astronauts train for faster-than-light jumps with guided LSD sessions to withstand the psychological shock. Contemporary period, 1965 to early 1970s. Drug use becomes part of daily life in these futures. Psychedelics, cannabis, and smart drugs are often taken for granted, and their social ripples examined. Beyond Bedlam, Wyman Gwynne, 1967, first published 1951. Society normalizes schizophrenia. Drugs schedule alternating egos that share a body every 5 days. Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Hunt Collins, Evan Hunter, 1956. The Vikes embrace narcotic escape while the Reese preach Puritan realism. Media and drugs shape a near-future culture war. We can remember it for you wholesale. Philip K. Dick, 1966. Under a hypnotic drug, false memories become purchasable experiences and political tools. The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch, Philip K. Dick, 1965. Colonists use illegal candy to share a corporate fantasy. A rival drug, Choosy, fractures reality itself. Now wait for last year, Philip K. Dick, 1966. A time-traveling drug, JJ-180, addictively pulls users backward and forward through a war-torn century. Make Room, Harry Harrison, 1966. In a New York of 35 million, marijuana and LSD are common pressure valves in a life of relentless crowding, filmed as Soylent Green. The Night That All Time Broke Loose, Brian W. Aldiss, 1967. Time gas piped into homes lets subscribers relive earlier years, until a leak plunges everyone toward prehistory. The Butterfly Kid, Chester Anderson, 1967. Reality pills make hallucinations visible to everyone. Extraterrestrial plotters are undone by a band of village hippies. The Ganymede Takeover, Philip K. Dick and Ray Nelson, 1967. Earth, awash in psychedelics, faces conquest by Ganymede worms amid shifting realities and countermeasures. 1 Million Centuries, Richard A. Lupoff, 1967. In the far future, locals chew Samra, a 20th century visitor trips through cosmic birth and death. Carcinoma Angels, Norman Spinrad, 1967. Massive hallucinogens let a dying man battle his cancer from within. He survives the disease and loses himself. The Mind Parasites, Colin Wilson, 1967. Mescaline and LSD research exposes invisible entities steering human history. Enhanced minds fight back. Camp Concentration, Thomas M. Disch, 1968. Prisoners on Paladine become brilliant and fatally ill, the high price of genius. The Santa Roga Barrier, Frank Herbert, 1968. A Californian valley runs on jaspers, a communal psychedelic that reveals the deep interconnections of all things. The Final Program, Michael Moorcock, 1968. LSD gas protects mansions. More conventional highs saturate a satiric near future. How It Was When the Past Went Away. Robert Silverberg, first published 1969. An amnesia agent in San Francisco's water wipes memories citywide. Society reels, then slowly remembers, except for a new cult of forgetfulness. Bug Jack Barron, Norman Spinrad, 1969. A life extension scandal plays out in a world where marijuana and psychedelics are legal and mainstream. Barefoot in the Head, Brian W. Aldiss, 1970. Psychedelic warfare leaves Europe permanently on acid. Language and society dissolve and reform in wild new patterns. Sundance, Robert Silverberg, 1970. A colonial soldier, haunted by genocide, takes a native hallucinogen that induces synesthesia and interspecies communion. Welcome to the Monkey House, Kurt Vonnegut, 1970. To curb overpopulation, compulsory pills numb sensation from the waist down, draining sex of pleasure. Pulse, James Benford, 1971. A patient's LSD moon vision sweeps her therapist into the same place without drugs. Sky, R. A. Lafferty, 1971. A mushroom-derived drug exalts parachutists seeking the perfect high until they choose ecstasy over parachutes. How can we sink when we can fly? Alexei Panshin, 1971. Tempest lets the young travel in time. A visitor from the future nudges today's problems into sharper relief. Down the Digestive Tract, Robert Sheckley, 1971. A hallucinogenic blend gives an alien the ultimate trip, life as an ordinary human being. Downward to the Earth, Robert Silverberg, 1971. A serpent venom doubles as sacrament, letting humans feel themselves into the planet's elephant-like natives and their ecstatic rites. A Time of Changes, Robert Silverberg, 1971. On a world that worships privacy, a primitive drug enables direct mind-to-mind contact and sparks a culture war over openness. The World Inside, Robert Silverberg, 1971. In thousand-story cities, a musician takes a multiplexer and briefly inhabits the minds of 800,000 neighbors at once. My Head's in a Different Place Now at Grania Davis, 1972. A young couple joins a jungle tribe, finds hallucinogenic mushrooms, and slips into telepathy with animals, then plans to turn on the villagers. Stoned Counsel, H. Hollis, 1972. In courtrooms of tomorrow, prosecutors and defense alike review evidence while high. The tone is clinical, not alarmist. The Eye of the Lens, Langdon Jones, 1972. An avant-garde collage of cinematic and psychedelic perception culminating in a cathedral's hallucinatory ritual. Time Travel for Pedestrians, Ray Nelson, 1972. Crushed seeds plus self-hypnosis carry a traveler through past lives and ancient worlds. The Fourth Profession, Larry Niven, 1972. Alien monks hand out pills that sharpen intellect, erase memory, or teleport. Their motives unfold as the effects do. Dying Inside, Robert Silverberg, 1972. A lifelong telepath losing his gift recalls how one LSD trip briefly made his lover telepathic too, an intimacy she could not bear. No Direction Home, Norman Spinrad, 1972. A legal commercial psychedelics industry flourishes. The story imagines the drugs and the marketplace that will sell them. Darkover Landfall, Marion Zimmer Bradley, 1973. Colonists on an alien world meet the ghost wind, a pollen-like phenomenon that awakens ESP and shatters group certainties. The Stone That Never Came Down, John Brunner, 1973. A viral-like drug, VC, spreads through blood banks, raising perception and intelligence. An epidemic of sanity averts world war. The R-Master, Gordon R. Dixon, 1973. Renanasi 47 usually boosts thought. Sometimes it ruins minds, rarely it forges an R-Master, a genius pressed into remaking society. The Soft Kill, Colin Free, 1973. In a crowded future city, a totalitarian regime keeps order with tranquilizers and euphorics, government by chemistry. As Dreams Are Made On, Joseph F. Pumila, 1973. Metamorphium grants shared fantasy. Two lovers glimpse a future where humanity dreams in one vast, linked mind. Gods of Za, William Rotsler, 1973. On an alien world, a human god defeats invaders by dosing them with a bliss drug that melts discipline. The Weariest River, Thomas N. Scortia, 1973. Immortals, trapped in an endless, polluted city, chase illegal highs to blunt guilt and boredom, none more than the serum's inventor. The Weed of Time, Norman Spinrad, 1973. A plant from Tau Ceti destroys linear time. Users perceive their entire lifespan at once and sometimes snap under the weight. Closing thought. Across 7 decades of storytelling, science fiction has treated drugs as sedatives and sacraments, shackles and keys. Sometimes the pill is a club in a tyrant's hand, sometimes it's the sacramental bread of a more connected world. Either way, these stories are less about chemistry than about us, our anxieties and hopes as we navigate technology, freedom, pleasure, and responsibility.